This is Ghost, and you're listening.
From where?
From where?
Where are you from?
From Pluto, actually.
One of my favorite dogs. Really.
Yeah, when I was a kid, that was a planet.
Bunko. You know, they Pluto's no longer a planet.
Yeah, I know.
How do you do that?
I don't know.
How do you get okay, Pluto, hide in the back. You're no longer a planet.
I think they found it was a satellite because its orbit was. I don't know. So I used to know. I read it.
A satellite.
Yeah, it's a satellite of something or other. So or it's just passing into. I don't know.
That's a drag. You could lose government funding if you're no longer a planet.
I suppose so.
It sucks. Okay, give her a whack.
All right. This is Ghost from the Hickory Street Hellraisers, and you're listening to Doggy Time on DentonRadio.com.
Can you dig it?
Yes, sir.
No, you're supposed to say, I can dig it.
Oh, okay.
Can you dig it?
I can dig it.
I knew that you could.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've always been told that when good Americans die, they don't go to heaven, they go to Paris. Smart Americans don't wait until they die. They don't want to take any chances.
What does he want to go into show business for, just as our sketches are beginning to catch on in New York?
Oh, that's only chicken feed compared to this racket.
I'm merely trying to point out that I could just as easily be working for you as against you.
What do you make of this? Where does the other end go? It dumps into the ocean.
It looks exactly like the South American Fantigua fish. I hope you can take one alive, Sheriff.
Jinx, do you have a problem? You won't have after you meet the monster on the beat.
With the swiftness of a deadly cosmic ray, the Earth is invaded by indestructible moon monsters. Their ghastly mission...
It's doggy time! A lot of that, all of a sudden these people show up on Facebook out of the blue. Friend them up, okay, fine. I will check them out first. Make sure that they're not an axe murderer or a porn star or something like that.
And if they're an axe murderer, you say no. If they're a porn star, well, they're friends.
Then you get their email address. Well, guys, thank you so much. It's been really interesting, and I've enjoyed it immediately, or immensely, I'm sure. And I'm going to try this again, all right? Take two. It's about time we say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night.
So, wow, that was it. Paws up, my cats and kittens. You are listening to Doggy Time on DentonRadio.com. I am your host and humble narrator, Bone Doggie, here to remind you that grim-visaged war has smoothed its wrinkled front, and now, instead of mounting barbed steeds to fright the souls of fearful adversaries, he capers nimbly in a lady's chamber to the lascivious pleasings of a lute. And I got to say, my cats and kittens, this week we do have a rant. We got some news. And to spread the gospel here, we have our dear friend, Kelsey Henry, sitting in the studio with us. Hello, dear. How are you?
Good. How are you?
It's nice of you to drop by and help us spread the good word. We got something coming up in March, do we not?
We do.
And what was it be called?
Denton Radio on the Square.
Denton Radio on the Square. So the first question I guess I got to ask you is, where is it, Kelsey?
I think it's somewhere on the square.
On the square. That's there you go. I know. It is on the square. What is happening, my cats and kittens, is during the time that our good friends North by 35 are putting on their little shindig over there on Industrial Street, we here at DentonRadio.com are going to be spreading the good word and the gospel by putting on a show that is Denton Radio artists only on the square, and that is going to be Thursday, March 7th through Sunday, March 10th. Am I correct in that?
Yes.
Yes, that's right.
Are.
That's right. And we've got some acts lined up, do we not?
Yes, we do. We have a lot of bands.
I know. And you're going to be
and
there.
Artists.
Yep.
I believe I am.
You're going to be playing there on a Friday afternoon, I think about 2:30, 3 o'clock, right in there. Bone Doggie and the Hickory Street Hellraisers will be there, of course. But we've also got the likes of 1140. How about Levi Cobb and the Big Smoke?
Mm-hmm.
How about Mockingbird Station?
Oh, yeah.
Or Backwater Opera.
Mm-hmm.
We've also got Carovana, who's been with us for a very long time. Molotov Dogs, Baloney Moon, Woody's Rampage, Contingency Clause by Kick Drum Heart, Ashley Cobb and the Free People. Actually, that's Ashley Gatta and the Free People. She told me the other day she's still Gatta and not Cobb. So, I got to behave there because she's actually bigger and meaner than I am. So I got to pronounce that name right. But we've also got our good friends Brave Combo are going to be there with us. They're going to be there, I believe, 5 o'clock on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is a lineup, is it not?
It definitely is.
Denton music.
Don't want to miss it.
I know. It's the finest music that is going to be going on in Denton from Denton musicians.
Yeah, all local.
That's
all
right.
local Denton musicians.
All local. And we are doing this with the help and encouragement of our good friends over at North by 35. They're going to be going down there on, I guess, Industrial, and they'll be playing a lot of out-of-town gigs. It is going to be huge. The whole square is going to be hopping that weekend. So it's a pretty big deal. It's going to be crazy.
And fun.
It will be fun. It'll be fun. And what is the greatest thing, I guess, about the Denton Radio on the Square is that it's free.
Yeah.
I know, because a lot of us have no disposable income.
Yep.
I have a Dalmatian, so I have no disposable income. He takes it all. Actually, he steals stuff out of my wallet.
I have a craft show that kind of takes all my money.
You do. As a matter of fact, that's kind of interesting. If you look on DentonRadio.com, My Cats and Kittens, you will find, what's the name of the craft show?
Denton Crafty.
Denton Crafty. And what is it that you do, dear?
I am...
Besides be crafty.
I am Denton Crafty myself, and I do tutorials.
You know, I've heard that, actually.
I do tutorials on different craft projects, and I'll show you how to do them and some of my cool photography.
Ooh, that's right. You do take some pictures.
I do. I take time with those pictures.
Yeah.
They're nice.
You have quite the eye.
Thank you.
Some people would say you have two, but still.
Oh yeah, I use both of them.
Oh, there you go.
You know.
There you go, in through the lens.
Yeah.
So,
well, only one. With the lens, yeah.
So basically, what we could say is that Denton Radio is hopping. I think that's safe to assume. And,
we are growing.
I know it. We've added a bit to the website there. We've added, oh my gosh, how many bands have we added in the past?
I've added quite a few pages to the website.
You have. Yeah, you're
more
taking up
tonight.
some real estate now.
Oh yeah.
Which is
it's cool because I get to see, like, I'll go to open mic night and I'll see people I've made their pages for, and I haven't met them, and I'm like, I know you, but you don't know me. This is
this intrigue.
It's interesting.
Well, how many bands have we added to the playlist here in the last couple of weeks? It's been good.
7? 11?
11 bands. 11
wow.
bands.
That's a lot.
I know. And I mean, my gosh, Star Party was one of that bunch, if I'm not mistaken. And, of course, Brave Combo. Who else? We added Molotov Dogs. I believe Soul Police made it to that list. Late, but they made it to the list. Jocko Suede. There were some of the others. Maria Cecilia and her trio. And Maria, I don't know if you've seen Maria Cecilia. They're wonderful. Those guys are great right now.
We heard some recordings.
Yes, yeah. You should see them. They're really smooth. Maria's just absolutely gorgeous woman, and she's just talented, almost talented as you are.
Thank you.
Almost nearly as talented as I am, but she certainly looks better than I do, but, you know, we're not going to walk down that road. We promised we wouldn't. Okay. So anyway, to recap, I guess we've got your new page going up on DentonRadio.com, and it is called, once again,
DentonRadio.com/Denton Crafty.
There you go. Or we've got DentonRadio.com/Denton Radio on the square.
Oh, yeah.
I know. And that's going to be, it's /monster /on the square. So it's Denton Radio. Thank you, Mr. Producer guy sitting over there in the corner not saying anything. So it's DentonRadio.com/on the square. Go check that out, my cats and kittens. Check out what's going on. There's going to be an itinerary. That's my new word this week. I'm going to use it 3 times, and it'll be mine. Itinerary. On there, we'll have everybody's time just as soon as we can get that sorted out and don't kill anybody in the process. And
that's good.
I know. But March is going to be quite the month.
Oh, yes.
So we are looking forward to it. So, without further ado, my cats and kittens, that's what's going on within the life of DentonRadio.com. We are going to take a little break here, and then we're going to come back. We got a show to go on. So, without further ado, push the button, Max.
Doggy time.
Doggy time.
Doggy time.
Doggy time.
Doggy time.
It's doggy time. Pause up, my cats and kittens. This is your host and humble narrator, Bone Doggie, here to remind you to tune in to Doggy Time, which can be heard Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. here on DentonRadio.com. Doggy Time will fill your musical plate with such culinary goodies as local information, innuendo, murder, mayhem, and of course, the good old-fashioned family fun that is local Denton music. You'll also get the benefit, my cats and kittens, of hearing directly from our good friends, the likes of Soul Police, Backwater Opera, My Kick Drum Heart, and the occasional Hickory Street Hellraiser, just to name a few. Now, we understand, my cats and kittens, that you can't always be in front of one of these digital contraptions at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday night. Well, old Bone Doggie has got some joyous news in which to caress your earbones. You can listen to Doggy Time anytime simply by tuning in to DentonRadio.com and clicking on the banner that supports your humble narrator's visage. Or, if you'd like a direct approach, go to DentonRadio.com/Doggy Time, DOGGIETIME, where you will not only hear the latest episode of Doggy Time, you will be presented with a veritable cornucopia of past episodes, all at your digital fingertips. So feel free, my cats and kittens, to sit back, relax, and at your leisure, listen to Doggy Time anytime on DentonRadio.com. Can you dig it?
I can dig it.
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 I knew that you could.
And now, friends, another edition of Bam Bam Cares.
A dialysis appointment is not an acceptable setting for a first date. Bam Bam Cares.
Tune in next week, friends, for another edition of Bam Bam Cares.
Oh, Bone Doggie.
What do you desire, my little nest of vipers?
What if we did Sherlock Holmes in a film noir style?
Oh, you mean the great Victorian detective in a seedy sort of back alley setting?
It could all start on a dark, stormy night in the city.
It was a dark, stormy night in the city, just like the lady said. I was sitting in my office at 221 Baker Street, knocking off a fifth of Old Boot and reading a racing form, when she walked into my life.
Mr. Sherlock Holmes?
She was the most beautiful chunk of real estate I'd ever laid eyes on. She had flaming red hair, dangerous emerald green eyes, and ruby red lips. But of course, you can't tell all that because we're in black and white. But what really got my attention was that this angel was armed to the teeth. Oh yeah, she had a gun too.
You are Mr. Sherlock Holmes, I presume?
A chill ran up my spine, and I knew right away that I was face-to-face with the most dangerous set of curves in the underworld. That's what the name on the door says, baby. What can I do for you?
You've probably already guessed. I am Professor Moriarty.
Professor Moriarty? I thought Moriarty was a guy. I ain't got my sunglasses on, baby, but from where I'm sitting, I can't exactly picture you in a pair of boxers. Well, okay, yeah, I can, but
it's
still,
Jane Moriarty, not James. Jane!
All right, then.
Mad. Everybody gets that wrong, and it really ticks me off.
Well, sweetheart, I could spare you 5 minutes, but then I gotta go to the can. So if you got any beans, you need to be spilling them now.
Mr. Holmes, you have been a considerable pain in my backside for some time now. La semaine, I was annoyed by you on 2 separate occasions.
Oh, only 2?
You annoyed me again when you thwarted my plans in February, and then again in March.
Oh, yeah.
I was positively hampered by your annoying interference last June.
I don't remember that.
And then you got right up my nose 2 weeks ago when you shut down my brilliant plan using the red-headed guys.
Oh, yeah. Those
Do you have any idea how hard that was to organize?
Probably a lot of paperwork.
I was so angry. I broke a fingernail when I pushed one of the henchmen in the head. That was very annoying.
So, evil genius doesn't fall out of a taxi and land in your lap, eh, sweetheart?
What?
Oh, sorry, mixed metaphor there. Go ahead.
You have 2 simple choices, Mr. Holmes.
Mm-hmm.
You can either back off and decide to leave me alone,
Yeah, that's gonna happen.
or I can put a bullet between your eyes, in which case you will ruin the carpet and the wallpaper, and definitely then you will leave me alone.
Well, I hate to burst your criminal mastermind bubble there, sweetheart, but I think you're overlooking a third alternative.
No, do tell me, Mr. Holmes. I'd love to see what your brilliant mind has to offer on this situation.
What if you and I shelve the firepower, hop in a taxi, and beat it on down to Denton? We can find a lovely little hole in the wall, listen to some live music, and discuss the future while we knock back a few Coca-Colas, you know what I mean?
So, you really think live music in Denton can help us solve our little differences, Mr. Holmes?
Well, it couldn't hurt, baby. We got nothing and even if jazz and a beautiful sunrise can't fix. But if we don't get in that taxi now, we'll regret it. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but someday and for the rest of
all right,
life.
Mr. Holmes, I get it. We'll try it your way. And we'll go Dutch. I hit an ATM on the way over here.
Whoa, so you already made a withdrawal?
No, I hit an ATM with my Humvee on the way over. There was cash lying around everywhere. It was a marvelous sight.
You know, sweetheart, I think this could be the start of a beautiful relationship. All right, my cats and kittens, it is now time to bring in our special guest. And this week's kind of a treat, my cats and kittens. We are going to actually discuss something a little bit different, something that we haven't discussed before, and that is going to be film, or film, as the Irish pronounce it.
That's correct.
And we have Brett Robinson in the studio with us. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, doing great. How are you, man?
Thank you so much for coming out and doing this. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Brett has got a blog called...
It is Brett Robinson, all one word, .wordpress.
And that is
BRETT.
There you go.
ROBISON.wordpress.com. I am an aspiring film critic. Should be going back to get my master's sometime soon, and hopefully that will set me on my way.
What are you studying to do this? You're at NT, right?
Yes, I'm at NT. I have a bachelor's. I have my undergrad in history.
Right.
So I have the writing background is there. Did a lot of writing, wrote a lot of papers, spent a lot of hours reading books, writing papers. So I've got that down.
There you go.
So I think a good transition to journalism would be slightly easier than it would be for most, I hope.
Right. Very good. Very good. So you got this blog, and the blog is about film.
It is. What I do basically is I work 40 hours a week. I actually work in North Texas.
No, we're not going to hold that against you then.
I don't blame you.
At least you're an honest man.
That's right. 40 hours a week in the registrar's office in North Texas.
Right.
Leaves me with as much time as I can to view movies and review them.
Right.
So I review them on my blog, give you my thoughts, and hopefully most of you dig that and agree, the people who do see it. But yeah, it's sort of a labor of love.
All right.
I dig it.
As most things are. I mean, you know, if you're going to get into something, especially as, I guess, ethereal as a movie blog, it's got to be a labor of love.
It is.
You know, and when did you get into film, I guess? Have you always been into it?
Well, what happened was around, I think it was my freshman year of college. A buddy of mine I lived with, he said, "Hey man, you got to check out this movie called Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind." And I said, "Well, that sounds interesting."
Right.
But I was half cocked at the time.
Right.
I saw it. It's a mind maze, literally. And it's non-linear, it's circular, it's not something you need to be watching.
Oh, great, okay.
6 beers into a 12-pack, let's just put it that way. So I watched it the next day,
right.
Was totally floored from beginning to end.
So it made sense after the 6 beers went away.
Well,
okay.
Even the third viewing, you're still catching on at that point, but I remember having this feeling.
Right.
And it's like, it's hard to describe when a music lover or somebody who loves paintings or photography, they look at something,
right?
They try to describe, well, what moved me about that piece of art, that painting,
right?
And it's just a feeling you get. It really is. It's
the gut thing is you can't really explain it. You just know it, and
it may be how the camera moves that helps.
Right.
Dialogue, how it's written, lighting, all of that, and then how it comes together. But ultimately, it's just something you really can't describe. It's just a feeling. So when I had it with that film. And at that point, Payless Video was still open.
Oh, I remember them.
Right
yes.
next to Two Charlies.
That's what, you know
over
what?
there on Sunset.
That is where I discovered the movie Dead Man with Johnny Depp. And I just loved
Which
it because
we have at our house.
That place, you got my movie on your coffee table.
That's right.
but anyway, you know, what I loved about Payless is they had all those little off the wall movies. You know, they're not the mainstream stuff, and it was just it was a great experience just to go in there and find something that looked interesting. You had no clue what it was. You know, and,
you had employees picks. Those are always helpful.
Yes.
Well, so what I did was Payless was open and I had my parents' Payless card, which sorry guys, racked up quite a bit of money on that.
Yeah, so did my son.
As did the Blockbuster card. But I went back and sort of did research on who were the important filmmakers. You know, we're talking about, and which we'll get to, Tarantino, Scorsese, Kubrick, everybody. And I just started taking movies off the shelf, or taking the tag off the shelf.
Right.
Go in there,
you take a little
checked
tag,
it out,
and
it was just one movie after another. And I fell in love.
The good old days of video stores.
I miss it. I miss the smell of Payless.
I know.
Payless, the smell of that store was quintessentially Denton.
Yeah, pretty much.
I really miss it.
It was all plastic and old carpet.
Yeah.
You know, but it had a feel to it. It had
did.
And
real
you
movie
just
store.
Don't even see those guys anymore. Barnes & Noble ain't the same.
Netflix is great, but God, I miss Payless.
Yeah. It loses the charm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, you get into film, and I was thinking about this the other day, as a matter of fact, is that it used to be the pickup line. When no matter how dorky you were, when you met a girl, you say, "Do you like old movies?" And they would, of course, say yes, because everybody likes old movies.
Right.
You know, and so that was the icebreaker, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what really occurred to me is that, you know, we all love movies. We all end up watching movies, and why? I mean, why are movies so important to us?
Well, it goes back to, I think, what I said. It's a lot of it is, with me, is like I said, it's indefinable. But what films do is they allow us to sympathize or empathize with a scenario, a set of characters, a plight that are both similar and dissimilar from our own, or to our own and from our own. And I think that's cool to be able to sit and relate. And a lot of people tell me, "Oh, Brett, you really love the depressing movies." I get that a lot.
Yeah.
From all of my friends. I mean, everything you watch is so depressing. And I don't agree with that. They might be depressing, but it's a great story.
Well, do you like the stories that invoke, you actually got to think about it? You're not slapped in the face with it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, I think that
I like explosions.
I think film, and it's an entertaining medium for sure.
What, explosions?
Well, any part of, if you're going to see Die Hard, you're going to see Anchorman, you would be entertained. But there's also an aspect of film that
I never saw any of those. I worked at a bus barn one afternoon, and I know what an explosion looks like.
Right.
So, you know, but
people say, you know, there's a strong difference between a challenging film, and one that you may consider to be bad or unfavorable. I think, and the same goes with music. You and I are big. Two yes heads in the same room, prog rock nerds. There's not enough.
And talk prog rock for hours.
Too much nerd for this room right now. But it's just like, in my opinion, it's just like a challenging piece of music, like Zappa or Dream Theater or Yes. You know, just because it's not easily accessible doesn't mean it isn't good.
Right, of course.
And I love that about it.
Well, being able to look out the mainstream and find something that's just lovely.
Yeah.
You know, something that you could really latch on to.
Right.
I did that for a while. I went through a whole series of Irish movies.
Mm-hmm.
Ironically enough, most of them had Colm Meaney in them. You know, he was the engineer on, I guess was it Deep Space Nine?
It might have been.
It might have been. It was one of the Star Trek knockoffs. And Colm Meaney, My Cats and Kittens, you would know this guy if you saw him. But it was like the Secret of Roan Inish was one, but the War of the Buttons and some of those other, there were just really Irish films that had great stories. And that, for me, this is important for me. You've got to have a cast. You've got to have a cast that you care about.
Absolutely.
You know,
I would agree.
Just if you don't, and then, you know, why am I watching this? I mean, it's got great explosions, but I don't care about these people, you know, and that's a waste of time, you know.
Right.
But if you come across somebody you really care about, and it doesn't always happen immediately.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes a movie grows on you, you know.
That's going back to the empathy sympathy
there you go.
approach to, and it's just, when you can relate to something or you
Right.
can empathize, I think that's a very moving thing.
Right. So as far as directors go, who do you like?
Directors, I've got 3 here that it may be cliche of me, but also I have to admit that they absolutely do floor me. These are the first one, the 3 directors whose work embodies why film is great to me. The first one would be Stanley Kubrick.
Right.
He is the master of the movie camera. Let's say some adjectives. Some adjectives
now,
here.
Now, when you say master of the movie camera, what do you mean?
I say what makes him great is he's suave, he's boastful, he's arrogant, and aggressively flashy behind the camera, and I like that. And he's confident in his ability.
Do these attributes actually show up for you? Do they show up on the screen through the camera work?
Oh, they do, especially in a film like Barry Lyndon, which I don't know if you've seen. It's so
ages ago.
Oh yeah, it came out in '75. I saw it about 4 or 5 months ago and fell in love with it. But in terms of does it show up in his films? Very much so in that one. It's sort of he kind of, for lack of a better term, throws it in your face. I like an artist who is, like I said, can be boastful. So let's talk about you, for instance.
No.
So when you get on stage,
I am not boastful, Brett Robinson.
Well, no. When I think it's great. When that shot glass comes out and you play the bouzouki, you know it's great.
We call that swagger.
And you know it's exactly.
Yes.
And Kubrick had swagger. Let's put it that way.
Absolutely. He did. He also did 2001, which was gutsy. That was a gutsy movie to make. You know, how do you interpret that book? And I read the book. How do you interpret that book into it? And another book that I read that he did, Clockwork Orange.
Right.
You know, and actually, I've got to say that had to be tough. I'm still a bigger fan of the book than the movie, but it's an entertaining movie. It's kind of nuts.
Well, yeah, talking about 2001, it's sort of an unmatched. Maybe to this day, we can talk about one film that may match it.
Right.
That came out a couple years ago, and that's Terrence Malick's *The Tree of Life*. That's a great film, but it sort of still is an unmatched philosophical assessment of mankind's sort of mystical or mysterious existence. Like why are we here?
Right.
What else is out there? And that's what's great about it. A lot of people sit in the theater because it
with
actually
popcorn
came out
thinking, why are we here?
Why are we here? What does this mean?
Kind of deep.
I think
for
Roger
Friday
Ebert
night.
even talked about an actor at the time that was prevalent at the time was actually in the screening he was at, and he walked out, stormed down the aisle, and said, "Can somebody tell me what this dang movie's about?"
Right.
And there you go.
There
I
you
mean,
go.
it's up to you.
If nothing else,
And
it evoked your devotion.
absolutely.
So we got Kubrick. Who's next on the?
Well,
hit
I would
list?
say old Marty Scorsese. He's important because he was one of the first filmmakers, in my opinion, to make meaningful stories with undesirable characters. I like that.
Yes, the anti-hero.
The anti-hero.
Was really
It's
good
like
for him.
Travis
yes.
Bickle in Taxi Driver.
Yes.
Gets redemption at the end, and you kind of cheer for him, but he's kind of a despicable character.
Yes.
And I like that. And let's talk about Jake LaMotta in Raging Bull.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I know. I sat through Raging Bull
Right.
1.5 times.
Uh-huh.
And the halftime was actually the first time. And I went, wow, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not in the mood for this. But the second time, and this happened to me with Apocalypse Now, too. It took me 3 times to get through Apocalypse Now. I just had to get in the mood to sit there.
Right.
The second time I sat down with Raging Bull, I said, I'm going to watch this movie. And it was beautiful. It was absolutely, it was a little gut wrenching.
Imploring Black and White, I think, was a great choice.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. You know, that's never a bad move anyway.
No,
It's
not at
never
all.
a bad move.
But I think it was Kramer versus Kramer 1
Right.
in 80 or 81 at the Academy Awards that year for that movie, and it beat out Raging Bull.
Right.
And I'm not saying Kramer versus Kramer isn't a good movie, because it is. The issues that it brings
Yawn.
up. But
my opinion, yawn.
Or the boxing, yeah.
There you go.
was unsurpassed, I think. But then Mean Streets. I think Mean Streets is a really cool film.
It's awesome movie,
because he deals with Catholic guilt a lot. Harvey Keitel's character,
Yes.
trying to reconcile his criminal lifestyle with his faith, I think was really interesting. And then Scorsese also, like Kubrick, in my opinion, did exhibit his visual bravado in a different way that Kubrick did. You had the low tracking shots that he's famous for.
Scorsese is a lot more subtle.
Right,
than
more
Kubrick.
subtle.
You know,
exactly.
like you said, Kubrick is bombastic as far as camera
That's a
angle
great
and
word,
things
yeah.
like that. Whereas Scorsese is, he will tighten things in. He'll bring it in. And one of the things that I loved, about Scorsese is that whole series of the blues.
Mm-hmm.
An amazing bunch of work, with Clint Eastwood doing his film,
Right.
all those different directors doing their different take on the blues.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea he was into that music so
Yeah.
well, but
Well,
man,
and that's a
amazing.
good point that you bring up, because he was so into music and was a huge. I mean, all the great Rolling Stones songs that are in Goodfellas,
Yes.
and "Give Me Shelter" during the cocaine scene, and
There
it
you
works
go.
so well.
Yeah.
And that's another thing about Scorsese I'll bring up is, and again Tarantino, who I'll bring up next, is both of those mesh music and film so well.
Right.
And lining up a scene with a certain song that makes it work so well.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's cool. It really is cool.
And you bring up Tarantino. Not a big fan.
Not a big fan, huh?
Not a big fan.
Well, maybe I can sway you a different way.
Nope, ain't gonna happen.
Ain't gonna happen.
But anyway, I know you do, because we've had this discussion.
Right, we had
as a
this
matter of fact.
discussion about a week ago.
Yeah.
But I think what's cool about, and Tarantino is my next influential filmmaker. I think that rounds out the top three, for me at least.
Right.
I think what makes Tarantino important and what makes him pretty cool, now he can be kind of a pompous ass in interviews.
Right.
He's he's not very humble. I think he's also aware of how talented he is, but he's not completely
that so
modest.
Important, though? I mean, it obviously comes out in his films.
It does.
You know,
By
and that's what
casting
gives
himself
well,
in
exactly.
nearly every film.
Well, Alfred Hitchcock made a little cameo in all his too.
Right.
There was speaking parts, but
But what's cool about Tarantino is he sort of defined two things. He defined the Gen Xers,
Yes,
the guys in
absolutely.
their 40s right now.
Absolutely.
Which is, I think he's approaching 50, and it's I think all of his films do define that generation, as well as a different kind of filmmaking, because even beginning with Reservoir Dogs, for the first time, you had films completely structured around dialogue.
Yes.
Dialogue carried the action from point A to point B to point C.
Yes.
And I think that's very cool. And you're not going to agree with me on this, but I saw Django Unchained and loved it about 2 months ago.
You're the only person that I know. That's not true.
It's a great film, and what he does with that.
Really? Mr. Engineer sitting over there going, I love that movie. Did you
right.
really?
Yeah,
You saw Django
it's
3
great.
times in the theater. Wow.
It is.
okay.
Well, and what's so great about it, I think, outside of the performances, especially Leonardo DiCaprio, was so great.
He's surprising to me. He pulls one out every now and then.
That
that's
little
just
boy in
awesome.
Forget about that.
No, what
This
was the one that he did where he was like the detective on the island? Yes,
Shutter Island. It's a Scorsese film, yeah.
Excellent movie.
Right.
Excellent movie.
Good.
Not Tarantino.
Well,
but it was Leonardo.
But what I'm kind of getting to here is Django was so well written. I mean, I'm gonna go. It may be a little far fetched to me to say, but in cinematic terms, in terms of his writing, I think he's a modern day Mark Twain, man. You really can't deny how great his scripts are, and they make his movies.
Can't. You really can't. Like I say, I'm not a huge fan, but I do understand, and I have watched a lot of them. The dialogue is, and this is going to be a great segue into my favorite point. Is the dialogue in a Tarantino movie is you have to listen to it. You've got to get through the movie, and the thing is, it drives along. Now, when it comes to dialogue, as far as Bone Doggie is concerned, the Coen brothers.
Oh yeah, well that's another great example.
We had this discussion a couple weeks too. Is that dialect and dialogue, and I don't think anybody in the business right now does dialect better than the Coen brothers.
Yeah, I would agree with going up to Fargo and doing that,
and then coming down south and doing Oh Brother,
and then doing No Country for Old Men, which was great.
I was thinking about that movie today. That is the greatest movie for the simple reason is the antagonist, the hero, and the villain never meet.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to Bam Bam the other day, and that ticks him off. He still rants about that Tommy Lee Jones never catches up with the bad guy. And
Sort of the point, though. No Country for Old Men. You can't keep up this day and age with these madmen. But and then Big Lebowski out in L.A. That was great.
Oh, and
did the
Barton
West Coast
Fink, same way.
Barton Fink.
So,
but yeah, then you also have the aspect of violence in Tarantino's films. A lot of people confuse that with, especially with the Sandy Hook tragedy, and he was being asked countless times in interviews, hey, how does violence in reality correlate with violence in your films? And he got mad at a reporter over in Britain and said, I don't have to tell you. And I agree, because Tarantino's films exist outside of time and space. They are fantasies. They are lavish. their lore.
And he really has no illusion that, film is real.
Oh, absolutely.
That this is real life. No, it's a bloody film.
Right, Kill Bill and the head chopping and the
Exactly.
blood spewing from the
Yeah.
neck. It's out, and he thinks it's funny, and he'll tell you when you read his interviews that he thinks violence is funny. He's like, why aren't other people laughing? Which is interesting. I mean, it's kind of warped.
Well, that is kind of warped if you think about it.
But yeah.
Well, speaking of warped, I think we need to segue into a little bit of music here. And,
I love it.
We'll let you pick a tune. What do you want to hear?
My original Bone Doggie jam. The first time I saw you guys, I'll have to testify, Bone Doggie.
You want to testify?
I want to testify.
Oh.
Give me some I Love Jesus.
I love Jesus, but I drinks a little bit.
Don't we all?
All right, well, we'll walk down that road then. So, my cats and kittens, we are going to give you Bone Doggie and the Hickory Street Hellraisers from our first CD. That means the second CD is headed down the pipe.
Tomorrow.
As we're talking, as a matter of fact, we're fixing to walk in the studio. So, from the first CD, Little Bar in Texas, we will give you I Love Jesus, but I drinks a little bit. And you are listening to Doggy Time on DentonRadio.com. Can you dig it?
I do.
I knew that you could. Push the button, Max. Sometime I'm a sinner, and sometime I'm a saint. Say I can, then I find out I can't. Well, I walk the straight and narrow, then I fall off a track. I got an angel in my pocket, got a devil on my back, you know it's true. Well, I stand on the corner, just preaching the word. Lying in the gutter, got a voice can't be heard. Out in the sunshine, out in the rain. In and out and back and forth and up and down again. Well, I ain't a perfect soul, it's true. What's somebody supposed to do? If it wasn't for the grace of God, I'd go insane. I love Jesus, but I drink a little bit. I love Jesus, but I drink a little bit. You know I got me redemption, but sometimes I forget. I love Jesus, but I drinks a little bit. Ha! Sometime I'm a sinner, and sometime I'm a saint. I say that I can't, then I find out I can't. Will Jesus pick me up every time I fall down? Must be aggravating every time he turn around. Well, I ain't a perfect soul, it's true. What's somebody supposed to do? If it wasn't for the grace of God, I'd go insane. I love Jesus, but I drink a little bit. I love Jesus, but I drink a little bit. You know I got me redemption, but sometimes I forget. I love Jesus, but I drink a little bit. I I love Jesus, but I drinks a little bit. I love Jesus, but I drinks a little bit. You know I got me redemption, but sometimes I forget. I love Jesus, but I drinks a little bit. All right. All right, my cats and kittens. That was yours truly, Bone Doggie and the Hickory Street Hellraisers. And I love Jesus, but I drinks a little bit. And we do.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. We do. We have to admit that.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Especially dating a bartender.
Yeah, I know. And for those of you who do not know, Mr. Robinson is dating the Duchess, Abby Messerly from Hickory Street Hellraisers.
And those of you who don't know Abby, I describe her this way, which you'll probably agree. If I were to write a nonfiction book about the Duchess,
right,
people would read it as fiction. I'll tell you that much.
Does she know you say that?
Yeah,
out loud?
I told her. I was like,
she's
can I
know now, dude.
So can I throw that out there in the show? She said, yeah, that's fine. She did that eye roll.
Okay, so the soon-to-be former Brett Robinson is here with us. And that's a great segue. What you're going to talk about is Denton just had I guess you could call it a film festival.
It is. Well, it's actually still going on. By the time this airs, it may not be, though.
God knows when that's going to be.
Right. A artistic enclave like Denton, I think it's important to have a film fest here, and it's cool. And the Thin Line is a great way to start. I personally have not been, but I've heard how great it is and what it's doing for the city and the art of film, documentary film.
Right.
I think at this point, it's a cool deal. It's 75 plus documentaries over 10 days.
Good gracious.
And it's the 8th of February through the 18th is this year. And if this happens to air after the 18th, you can check it out next year. I don't know when the dates will be, but
find them on Facebook.
It is. Well, right. You can find them thinlinefilmfest.com, all one word, or Thinline Film Fest on Facebook.
Very cool.
And now they say it is Texas's International Documentary Film Fest.
So
and
it's
I've
actually,
heard.
I remember when this thing started a few years ago, and it was very, very small. Now you're saying it's pretty big.
It's blown up. I think they actually, and the guys working the fest can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they have screened actually a documentary that was at Sundance, a lot of other things as well. Nice. Now they do their screening locations this year, and this all could change next year. Campus Theater,
right?
They do UNT on the Square.
Very nice.
They do the Fine Arts Theater. They also do some screenings at local bars, I've heard.
Really?
And they do things like, looking at their schedule, they do things like ice cream socials after screenings, get-togethers at local bars after screenings, things of that nature. So it's a pretty cool deal for Denton.
Well, your task is to report on this little jewel next year.
I will. I'm going to go.
You're going to be tasked with that. One of us will remember. We'll write it down. And
yeah.
But yeah, I would like to see more of that. I would like to hear more of that firsthand. So,
yeah. Well, next year I'll be the reporter on the ground.
There you go. Zay Challenge. She will be there. Zay Challenge. So now in the wide world, out there in the mainstream world, we have is it the Oscars or the Grammys?
Well, the Oscars are coming up.
The
Academy Awards on the 24th of February.
Good old Academy.
That's not this Sunday, but the next. And I think this will air right before that. So that'll be cool. If anybody listening before the Oscars, the 24th, yeah.
Okay.
It's a Sunday.
Time is an illusion here. You got to realize that. Yeah. Okay.
So much going on. There really is.
Lunchtime doubly so.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good. Hitchhiker's reference.
Right.
So if we were to be the Academy right now.
All right. Well, I'll give you, these are not my picks. This is what I think the Academy will be choosing the 24th.
Right.
Now, first of all, my thoughts on the Academy Awards. I think it's always a great and important ordeal, but there's so many strings being pulled behind the scenes with the Academy voters, production
Are you
companies,
saying that it's
executives.
Not exactly what it's supposed to be?
I think there's a little bit of bribery and things of that nature going on behind the scenes. The way the world works. And I wish that's the cynic in me, right? That's why Abby and I get along so well.
I guess so.
Well, I wish if it would be like a panel of filmmakers, just like they do at Cannes, actors, and it was sort of like an unbiased deal. But I'll get off my soapbox. For Best Picture, I think the Academy will be choosing Argo. And that's Ben Affleck's latest directorial effort after The Town. I think it's getting a lot of notoriety within the film critic circles. I think it's going to win, and it panders to what the Academy loves. The Academy loves something that is easily accessible, maybe not easily accessible, but accessible for a wide audience. It's got drama, comedy. It's a thriller, so it encapsulates everything. It's a good film. Next, I'll go with actor. Daniel Day-Lewis is going to win again.
He is brilliant, but is that up for
Lincoln?
For Lincoln, yes.
Right. The last time he won was There Will Be Blood, I believe, was about 5 years ago. It'll be his second win in 5 years. Playing a much different character than Daniel Plainview.
Right.
Those of you who've seen There Will Be Blood, very vicious and nihilistic character.
It was an interesting flick, There Will Be Blood. It was kind of bizarre.
So I think he's going to win again. I think he deserves to win as well. Now, Best Actress is going to come from one of my favorite films that I've seen all year, Silver Linings Playbook. I think Jennifer Lawrence is going to steal the Best Actress.
Ooh, that's kind of a long shot, though, isn't it?
Well, I think a lot of them are either picking her or the woman that was the lead in Amour, which is up for Best Foreign Film and Best Actress as well. But we all knew Jennifer Lawrence was going to be good because of Winter's Bone. She was great in Winter's Bone.
It was a good film.
She was quite a presence, and then The Hunger Games as well. So we kind of know that she's a good actress, but she's really made a turn here. Very attractive.
Very
now, supporting actor.
No, not attractive hot. It's just Hunger Games is a very hot topic right
now. I see. Okay.
They're all hot, but, they're poured out of a mold.
Well, I agree with you. Yeah. Sorry, Abby. Jennifer Lawrence.
They're pretty hot. Yeah.
She's attractive. Supporting actor, I've got Tommy Lee Jones. A lot of critics are saying
thank you.
Tommy Lee Jones will win for Lincoln. He hasn't won in a while. I don't remember if he won for No Country for Old Men. I can't remember.
I don't think
I've had a drink or two since then and slept since then. I think it should go to De Niro in Silver Linings Playbook.
Right.
The best performance De Niro's given in years.
Really?
Since he was doing Scorsese stuff. It's a much different character, but really spot on De Niro.
De Niro can do the other thing besides, just the tough New Yorker guy. Although, please do not ever make him Frankenstein's monster again. Thank you very much. Kenneth Branagh, what were you thinking?
Right.
It's like, oh my gosh, are you serious? So
yeah, and then I've got for supporting actress, it's going to be Anne Hathaway. A lot of people are saying Anne Hathaway for Les Mis.
Les Mis, yes.
I think it should be Amy Adams. Amy Adams is nominated for The Master.
Right.
Again, a Paul Thomas Anderson movie.
Right.
That was his latest movie since There Will Be Blood. Amy Adams, her role in that is great, but her breakout in Junebug, which is in the 2005 indie flick, she was phenomenal in Junebug, and you knew she was going to be great ever even after that. But I think Amy Adams should win, but it'll go to Anne Hathaway. For Best Original Screenplay, these are the 8 major categories, by the way. I don't know if I'm not going to go down every, just the what I consider the 8 major categories. Supporting actress, we already did that.
Right.
Screenplay, original screenplay, I think will be for Amour, which will go to Michael Haneke.
Right.
He is a Austrian director, and he wrote the film as well. I think it should go to Quentin Tarantino. Because I love his scripts.
I can't figure out why. Really.
Such great writing.
Right.
Adapted screenplay, Tony Kushner for Lincoln.
Yep.
That's pretty spot on there. And then director will go to Best Director, Steven Spielberg for Lincoln.
Right.
It's kind of hard to count him out when he's nominated.
He's I hate to say that he's actually a shoe-in, but
Yeah, some of them are, and he when you see him nominated, he's going to be either up there or he's going to win it.
But for Spielberg to go after something like Lincoln,
I think it's a very daunting task for him.
Exactly.
And those are my picks.
Very cool.
And for anybody listening when this airs who has not seen Bone Doggie and the Hick Street Hellraisers, check them out.
Shameless plug. That's awesome.
Well, you let me do a shameless plug, so I'm going to give this to you, not just because I'm dating Abby and because I like you guys, but these guys, this is the best front man in town. These guys are jamming. Check them out if you haven't. And I think that's it for me.
Well, okay. Well, here's your $20. Yeah, thank you so much. Oh, I wasn't supposed to say that on the air. Darn. Okay. That's very cool. Well, thank you so much for coming and doing this, man.
Thanks for having me, man. It's just...
I love the fact that we actually got to talk about something that we don't talk about very often.
Right. We're sitting here talking about Yes and Zeppelin and
we can
and
do
Zappa too much.
Long, and I do music with musicians all the time.
Right. Yeah, nice little change.
And with me, I've always been and film has always been a big part of my life. My father and mother watched movies, and I was watching movies at 3 years old, 4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and of course it was the old stuff. You know,
Right. Stuff I haven't
although
delved into
I
yet.
got to tell you, I was probably in my mid-30s when I turned the television on very late at night one night and watched Slim Pickens ride a bomb to the ground.
Oh yeah, Dr. Strangelove.
Dr. Strangelove, and Dr. Strangelove is one of my favorite movies. You know, you have a couple flicks where they actually, you can remember the time in your life. The earliest that I remember is, and this is dating myself because actually this is the first time it made it on television, was The Day the Earth Stood Still, the original. And you know that soundtrack where they use the theremin?
Right.
I'm 4 years old. I'm in the other room, laying in my bed, and my dad and grandfather are out in the front room listening to this theremin music, this eerie theremin music. Scared the snot out of me. And then finally, I got to see the movie a couple of years later, fell in love with it. You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool.
It's a great artistic medium, and
Gort, 7-foot tall robot,
Yeah.
dude. You know, Darth Vader hadn't even been dreamed of at that point. All right, my cats and kittens. Well, we are going to say good night, Irene. We'd like to remind you that if you want to listen to Doggy Time anytime, you can go to dentonradio.com/Doggy Time, where you will see all of the episodes listed. And we will be back as soon as we can. Do not forget, Denton Radio on the Square coming up March 7th through March 10th. That is going to be the finest of Denton music, along with the worldwide renowned stuff that's going on for 35 North or 35 Denton or whatever they're calling it this week. And so we're going to say goodnight. And I think we are going to go out. We don't do this. I don't get to do this very often, but I'm going to do it anyway. We're going to go out with another Bone Doggie tune.
All right,
and we're actually going to go out with my favorite Bone Doggie tune off the first one, and it's a true story. A little bar in Texas.
All right.
So yeah, we're gonna. I love bar fights. Remember the bar fight in The Great Race?
No, I don't.
You've never seen that?
I haven't.
Okay, there's another movie that I'm going to have to give you, and it better not sit on your coffee table.
Right.
It's the greatest bar fight ever. Tony Curtis doesn't ever get smacked at all, and he's all wearing white. It's great. So,
all right.
And he gets to fight Larry Storch from F Troop.
Sounds awesome.
That's another discussion by Cats and Kittens. Y'all have a good night. We will catch you on the flip side. Until then, this is Doggy Time on dentonradio.com. Can you dig it?
I do.
I knew that you could.
Some commotion in the alcoholic ocean. A whiskey voice is heard above the din. You're a bastard, Will O'Grady. Get your mitts off my old lady. She was with me when I over someone's shoes. Then another one took umbrage to deliver some comeuppance while the band up on the stage was playing the blues. Then the bodies start to fly through the air, and it's curtains for the tables and the chairs. You bet there's no denying we're gonna have a riot, and the doggy and the hellraisers are there. Hoppa! When it all was over, there's not much to recover except splinters and the remnants of life. And the parties of this action sit back in satisfaction. It's a hell of a way to spend a Friday night. So we uprighted the tables and the chairs, and we walked ourselves into the morning air. You bet there's no denying next week another riot, and the doggy and the hellraisers were there. And the doggy and the hellraisers were there.